Guys, let's talk about international trade-related issues that we're later will come back to the new institutional economics. But I guess the number one issue, number one news lately is that the U.S.-China trade deal in Geneva. And then a lot of people are focusing on who blinks first, okay? And I'm not really interested in that. I want history to remember this. It is the Trump administration unilaterally started the tariff war or trade war. And then it is also Trump's the first took the initiative to pull off, okay, which is a good thing, even though that the normal for most people would be kind of embarrassed. But Trump is Trump. He's not a he hasn't shown any regret or embarrassment. He just like nothing has happened, and everything goes back to the 3 months or 4 months ago. So that's a ability that not everybody possess. Okay, but then it's not that it's far away from the end of a trade war, which is bad for the international community. Because if you think about this, lately we have something BIS. I think it's under the Department of Commerce. It's a Bureau of Industry and Security. BIS. They recently basically says that prohibited anybody in the world from using the Ascent AI chips made by Huawei, using the excuse that because the technology is original from the U.S. I would say three issues. I'm sure that the Chinese, China is such a country that it's most competent when it comes to make things, manufacturing things, but the least competent when it comes to debating to defend itself. So that's it's just amazing. But anyway, so the three issues. Number one, you have to think about that. You have to raise the minimum amount. Right now, the BIS saying that anytime you have 25% of U.S. technology or U.S. original technology, then I have a right to control it, to export control, and I have a right to enforce the oversee all over the world. Well, that doesn't sound to be right, because I think the minimum is 50%. If you can, so that's one thing. Otherwise, unless you can prove that the majority of technology is U.S. original, it doesn't make much sense to say that. Otherwise, 25% is too low. Any country from the global value chain can argue that. I'm sure that Japan can say that a lot of the value added is from Japan, 25%. Everybody, China can argue that too. So that's one thing, that you have to raise the limit of the percentage of limit before you can do the export control, because before you can enforce it all over the world. Number two is that you have to. There's a time limit. Okay, the term like U.S. original technology is a misnomer, because no technology lasts forever. You can't just based on where's the original place for the technology, because any technology is let's look at the patent. Usually the average life of the patent is 20 years. So anything, even if the technology is U.S. but it's after 20 years, forget it. You have no jurisdiction to enforce it. Okay. Otherwise, you're creating big chaos. Everybody, there's no international trade, no international global value chain to talk about. So that's the second thing. The third thing, that the burden of proof is rested on the shoulder of the U.S. Okay, because you raise the issue, you want to enforce it, you have to prove it in the court of international law. So you have to prove it. Otherwise, you have no power to enforce it, especially for overseas enforcement. So that's one thing that I want to raise. Another thing, in terms of U.S.-China trade deals, I heard some some story. I don't remember if it's on the U.S. media or Chinese media. The Treasury Secretary, uh, raised the issue that he picked up a candy from the little bowl in front of him. He said, do you guys know that the little candy like this size, it's enough to kill everybody in the room. Or the Chinese wall, that's, impressive, right? And it is a good marketing. However, I would raise several issues. Number one, U.S. really need to work on the demand side. You can't just work on the supply side, okay? As far as I know, the demand side hasn't been, the U.S., Washington hasn't done a very good job. I even heard somebody saying, some politicians, I don't know if it's the congressman or governor, he says that we should distribute fentanyl to the homeless people free. That's the meanest. That's the most cruelest thing. This guy should be, charged. We should really criminalize those things. Any words like this. This is a criminal word. You really with the clear intention to killing people. So anybody intentionally distribute fentanyl should be charged. Okay, in the court of law. So that's one thing. You have to work on the demand side. And number two, you have to recognize that, fentanyl precursor is mostly from the China. That's true. But you have to understand that the fentanyl precursor has a dual use. It's legitimate use. The pharmaceutical company use that all the time to make any drugs. Okay, it's only the fentanyl itself, that is killing people. Number three, you have to think about this, comparing the U.S. and U.S., China, and Mexico, the three parties. The U.S. is charging 20% of fentanyl tariffs, for making the fentanyl precursor, which has a dual use. Let's keep that in mind. However, U.S. charged $0, dollars for the Mexico. It's where all the fentanyl, majority of fentanyl is made of. That's a bargain, to me, that's a bargain at the wrong tree. So it doesn't make sense. I really think that, this, somebody needed to point it out. This is an unfair international moves, unfair negotiation strategy, and it should be stopped. Okay. Finally, I want to give a quick comment on the India and the Pakistan conflict lately. I think a lot of people are focusing on what the jet fighter, which is in this case is a J-10, something like that, in Pakistan that basically shot down Rafale, made by the most advanced technology from Europe, I think. A lot of people are commenting on the one jet fighter and versus another, but we really should recognize this. It's the electronic warfare. That's the game changer. Okay, you have that including the advanced technologies in the airborne previous early warnings and all the other things or those kind of things. It's a whole system. Okay, the J-10 may not be one against another alone. It may not be, J-10 may not be such a powerful airplane, but it is used against the whole background of electronic warfare that changed the game. Okay, so let's stop here.